Good morning, Christian. Today about automation, which is always a very interesting topic, but I would like to touch very specific topic of automation, which is pain point for many postal companies which process letters. The problem is that they usually use very old sorting machines. They cost a lot of money, but at the moment they are very old, they are inefficient. They also have quite weak OCRs. So it means that this is still partially manual process of exceptions, and machines are so old that many face the problem: should we invest in new ones, or maybe we should try to survive on what we have, because we know everybody knows what happens with letters. They are decreasing very fast, and investment in the market, which is not the future, is always risky. I had very interesting discussion with my client, classic postal operator, which want to save a lot of time and money from postmen, which usually sort the final mile for the deliveries. So they receive sorted letters, small parcels to the Vera delivery areas, and they spend usually 2 hours before they start to go out for sorting for the delivery route. On the other hand, there are new machines, and we know some large investments from previous years, like Bipos, for example. They invested in sorting letters up to the postman bag, up to the sequencing sorting for the postman road, including all type of letters, not only small, easy sorted, but also some kind of formats. These are new machines. You need to invest, and what would be the approach? Should we invest, or maybe how we should think about investing in automation in this situation? What do you think?
I think it's a very good question again, Greg, and I fully understand that now we have a history in Denmark where we have now closed the letter business. But in general, we saw also that the machines were not being they were not the providers were not able to maintain them because the ones who had developed them they were retiring, and so it's a very important situation that you're standing in. And I think the first thing that you need to understand is where are you on the market? How is it the market developing? Because, you don't want to invest too much if you have some cost. The other thing is also you have to look at the possibilities of items. Also, there's also quite a large amount of packages which are in the small, you could say, letter segment, or you have letters which are in the small parcel segment. So
Yes.
you have to really understand what are you targeting, which customers is it that you have, and how long do you think that you will have both the letters or the parcels? Because I think that there is a sweet spot in the merge of items which are, let's say, below 2 kilo, and we see that is quite a huge amount of our parcels, and especially something that we always had problems with in on the sorters also is that letter like parcels are actually also a huge problem to sort on the parcel sorters. So there are these machines who are now coming in this segment of handling that, and also able to do the sequence. So I think that it's a very individual decision that you have to take based on where you see the markets are going and how they're going. But they're definitely something that you have to look into, because you have a possibilities, and we see also that there are also different flows being established. You are working sometimes with a small flow and a medium flow and a big size flow, and you have the possibility of making specialization. And as long as you have delivery which are going on the letter routes, there's actually good money in moving these parcels which are light into that flow also. So it is a combination about, the technology exists. It's a question about how your volumes are developing, I think.
I see also another challenge, which is standardization of the process in distribution points. In mail distribution points, because uh, for investment in such a machines, which you get ready bag of for the postman, you really need to have the standardized process of delivery on delivery areas.
Mm.
If it change, and what I saw in many postal operators, that they try to manage these delivery areas every day. It's because of lack of people, because of unexpected vacancies, etc., etc. So if you get the bags ready for the other delivery roads, when you really have in the place, this investment may not pay itself, because they again will need to resort everything again for the new delivery areas, because machine in some central area will not be programmed for that.
Mm.
And the question is also, is it possible to change the delivery areas? I know that usually it takes some days. It takes for it, for monthly kind of schedule. So one month we change the delivery areas. We will not do it constantly online when it depends on resources which we have. So standardization of the last mile in the distribution centers is also part of this process. You will not invest in the new machines and just get it savings in the last mile.
No, I completely agree, and I think also one of the learnings we had, because trimming down our letter business was quite an important journey, and it was on a journey that accelerated very fast when it came to the last couple of years, where we actually, I think we changed the distribution model 3 times in 4 years, or four times in 3 years. I can't remember which one it was, but one of the things would be the design of the process on how to work with an XY model where you deliver every second day, or 3-day model, or a 4-day model, even a 5-day model. That is something that demands standardization, and also demands quite a lot of control in order to make sure that your distribution costs are not exploding in the end. So one of the things that we saw actually was that the more complicated you are, the more need you have for a centralized control also. So you actually only send the letters parcels, that segment out for distribution when they needed to have it. Putting up, making storages locally, it doesn't work, because the principles have always been that you should have a clean floor every day, and this is in a mental thing, and by storages is also a quality issue normally, because somebody forgot that this color was this day and this color was the other day. And so I completely concur when you talk about that. It's a hard standardization when you're working with these things and combining these things. But you also have to really reconsider if you don't need to make a more central control on how you are distributing to the distribution areas. So you keep the processes in standard also when they come out for distribution. That is our experience.
Very interesting. So it's not about investment in more advanced sorting machines, but it's also investment in centralization of everything.
It's a combination. It has to be a very structured model, and this comes back to when you talk about when you do the investments. You need to understand your market. You need to understand your process, and you need to understand how you control the processes and make sure that you deliver the quality that you promise, because somebody will follow up on these things also.
So from this investment perspective, what I see from our discussion, the first is understanding if we can this new sorting investment use in some broader segment, like packets, like small parcels in the letter streams, which we know that this is growing part, because this is part of the e-commerce. And another thing is that if you want to save money on the last mile, save time of the postman, which will not sort letters in the morning, it means that you need to also manage resources, manage delivery areas centrally.